startups. I was quite puzzled by the vast experience that he has in multiple industries, and I think that's where it attracted me to him. And he has strong work ethics, and also he worked not only in the traditional business sector, but also implementing technologies. And he's one of the pioneers when one of the franchisees that he was expanding in Western Canada automated their whole solutions. And also, John works with every type of business. Basically, if you need help to scale up your business and also looking for good return on investments and what is that scalability looks like, John is the person to go to. And he's also an entrepreneur in residence at Kamloops Innovation Center. And a lot of startups that I work with also work with John too. So a lot of good credentials there, and his expertise is invaluable. So I asked him to join the Business Success Strategies, and he is glad to share some of his expertise today. Not everything in 20 minutes, but he will probably shed some light on what's happening with the COVID and whatnot. So welcome, John. Take it over, and let's hear from him.
Well, thanks, Christian. I wish I should have written what you were going to say about me. I would have lowered the bar a little bit. I prefer talking with people rather than at people. So if you want to unmute anytime and ask a question through it while it's on your mind, feel free to. It's a small group. I'd rather be interactive if we could. So Krishna asked me primarily to talk in regards to startups, but I want to qualify that when we talk about tools for startups, a lot of the same stuff applies whether you're introducing a new product into an existing business or you're in the situation right now that a lot of people have been in terms of having to reinvent their business to be meaningful to their customer. So I'm going to share my screen. We should have done. Oh, Krishna, you got to give me permission to share screen. You control everything.
Right. I'll just make you the host.
Okay. Tell me when I'm the host and I'll
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. I'm not as fast as you on this, so here we go. Let's go share and let's go into our view part. Here we go. All right, everyone give away. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's have a quick look at our current environment. Not made here to scare you, but these last 90 days or so have been pretty crazy in terms of turning everything around upside down. And if we've listened to the media in any way, shape, or form, we've probably found that that they've created a little bit more scare than we need to. There's two ways of looking at what's happened in the last 90 days. One is challenge and fear, and the other is looking at it as an opportunity. I can tell you from the time that I've been in business, which has been most of my life, we've never seen more true needs before than we have now. There are actual problems, there are things that companies need, there are things that individuals need. And that spells out to being more opportunities than we've ever had. So this right now, despite everything and all the worry, if you could pick a time within the last few decades to be an entrepreneur, this would actually be a perfect time to be hopping in, provided you have capital and you're in an okay position to be so. Because every time we face disruption, we also face innovation and new ways to deliver products or services. For years, we've had a very complacent environment where a lot of people have the things that they needed and wanted. So now there's a bit more opportunity there. Hey, Krishna, how do I move my screen forward? Slideshow.
It's just on the slide. Yeah, I think we got it.
Okay, so startups. We hear the term a lot, and I hear it a ton in the tech industry where I mentor tech companies. It's a buzzword now, but startups oftentimes are ideas for new things. I'll caution a lot of young entrepreneurs about not calling their startup a business yet, Because when you're first thinking about an idea, whether that's for a new business idea, a new service, or something that you want to maybe add to your existing business, at the time it comes up as an idea, it's still really an experiment because you've come up with something, but you haven't proved that it can actually be a business yet or a true model. So um, the purpose of a startup of any type or any new addition is to find some kind of a repeatable sales process that will allow you to turn it into a business. And the quicker you can do that, the greater the chance that you can either decide I want to move ahead with it or realize that maybe it's not something that is going to be economically viable for you. There's no bad ideas, but there are bad businesses. So the purpose of trying to do your startup efficiently is to get to that point where you can make a decision whether you should move ahead or whether you should put something to the side. Also, the startups are not about trying to figure out what the next greatest thing is going to be. Really, a good business is built around a need that already exists instead of trying to create a solution and then looking around to try to find people that have that problem. So when you come up with an idea, if you can follow, I'm just going to go through some really basic steps that I work with entrepreneurs on when they're coming with ideas or with existing businesses with new product ideas where they can very quickly determine it. So the first thing you want to do is figure out what are you solving? What pain is your idea going to actually provide a solution for? Value chain opportunities are probably the greatest area to look if you're trying to start a new business. Almost everything that we produce is, I'm just going to admit someone else. Almost everything that we produce is part of a larger chain of things to finally get to a finished product or service to a consumer. So if you're in a grocery store, yes, you sell products to people, but you're part of a larger chain that include the manufacturers of the food products, the staff that come in, the delivery systems to get them there. So some of the best startups that occur or business ideas are ones where you can identify weak links within a chain that can be improved upon. You know, we found out as soon as COVID hit that all of a sudden, the way that we deliver a lot of goods and services to people, the way that we communicate and have to deal with our colleagues and other businesses were all disrupted and changed. So what you found was there was a lot of breaks in a lot of the chains of getting products or services to the end users. So this is where startups have the opportunity to look around and find where are those gaps. You know, where can I fill those? People that got quick off the guns that had a little bit of technology and delivery vehicles found that they could supplement existing businesses by filling the gap of getting the product from a manufacturer or from a restaurant over to where the end consumer was going to be. So value chain opportunities are probably the fastest way of business success is really to go out and find out where they're having problems. Right now, if you were an entrepreneur and you wanted to hustle and get going, I'd probably recommend that you go and talk to businesses that actually have something that people need right now. Interview them, talk with them, ask them, what is it that is your bottleneck? What's stopping you from being able to service more people or sell items to more people? Because often they don't want to create additional aspects to their business. They just want to get those things solved so they can carry on doing what they do. If you can find those niches to fit into the value chain instead of creating something completely brand new, you can grow a business a lot faster. So things that you might want to check with them is, what's affecting your bottom line, or what do you need for better customer retention or even market penetration at the moment. So then if you've come up with something that you feel can fit and that people actually want or need, before moving ahead, you really need to look at what is that opportunity size. Just because people want a product or service that you may have, you really need to determine how big is it? Is it worthwhile? So breaking it down into first off, finding how big is the entire market for that product or service. But then a little bit more granular, how many people could I actually reach if I had to? How many, what area could I truly service? And then what sort of share could I possibly take in that marketplace? So if you're able to gather some of those stats together, and if you multiply that against what that dollar opportunity is, maybe it's of what your product you're selling or the service that you're going to charge, often when you multiply that, you can truly see what the dollar value is of that opportunity. Sometimes entrepreneurs get to that part and they look and they realize, it's a great opportunity. Yes, I'd be able to sell to to the actual market I could address, but that market isn't big enough for me to build a business or commit all of my time to it. So opportunity size will help you determine, does it make sense to move ahead? And if it doesn't, that's fine. You're still in that experiment versus a business. Look at something that it does have a great enough opportunity to it. Oh, going backwards, need to go right direction. Any questions here before I move to the next slide? Are we good?
So
No?
pretty much every business is reinventing themselves, right? Like with a product or service, and they can pretty apply the same principles, I assume.
Oh, 100%. When you're reinventing, you're taking a guess as to whether people are going to want it or not. I mean, here locally, when Earl's put out delivering groceries, they didn't know how many people were going to be banging on their door looking for that. They got it right. There was need out there, but oftentimes it's based on an assumption first. So the other thing you want to look at is who's going to be your ideal customer. So who are going to be the people that are going to be the first ones that would want to buy your products or services, and how would you actually find them in a crowd? When we look around, when we want to sell something, a product or a service, we know there's people out there that will want what we have, but how could we speak to them? How would we see them? Well, I'd say walking down the street, but we don't have as many people walking down the street. But how would we reach them in their homes right now? What are the mediums that they follow? What are the ways that I could target them? And very importantly, who are the ideal customers that will want what you have in a reasonable period of time for your business? If you ask a lot of people and you show them your product or service, they'll often tell you, yeah, I'm really interested, I like that. But always you need to follow up with a question of, would you, if it's something you need to sell quickly, is this something that you would buy or consume in the next month or two? Maybe on a longer purchase, it could be up to a year. But you'd want to know who those true customers are, and how can I break them down by segments. If you're using social media to reach out to them, you want to be able to match up segments that you see in Facebook when it comes to boosting, that there actually are groups of those people that you could target. If you can't find a way to target people, you're going to have a difficult time growing your business, even if it's a perfect product. But if you can't actually reach them, it's not going to line you up for success. If all those boxes to this point have been ticked off, then the next thing you want to do is, before you actually go and try to sell that product or service or develop what that new thing is, you want to test out your theory. So up to this point, you've been getting all the positive feedback that what you have is something that people are going to want. Now you actually have to get out of we call it getting out of the building, leaving your place, or reaching out directly to the people that you believe are going to buy your product or service. And we get into a mode called customer discovery. And customer discovery is very different from selling. You're talking to the person that you believe is going to be your customer, but you're not trying to sell them anything. What you're trying to do is confirm that what you're offering is the thing that they truly do want. So customer discovery is about testing your assumptions on those people that you believe need your product or service. Ideally, you want to do this in a blind conversation way, so they don't actually know what it is that you're trying to sell them. What you're trying to do is determine how important is that need for them and that desire. Let's face it, when we approach, typically we would approach, friends, family, colleagues, and if we pitch and tell them our idea, we're really enthusiastic about it, you can almost guarantee that They're going to nod their head and say, boy, that sounds good. That's really not the way you want to go ahead and move along in your business, because friends and family, if we want to be fair and have the best chance at a business opportunity as a startup, we don't want to count them as part of our customer discovery. You know, we'd like to think that they're either going to be really positive, or maybe they're friends or family that have seen things not go well for you before, and maybe they're going to be overly cautious, and they don't need to be. So what you want to do is reach out to people that you've never talked to before. They don't know you, they don't know what your business is. And the best way to do customer discovery is by trying to find out, giving them a number of options and asking them which of these are things that you really may need, or giving them a list and saying, if you can only pick from one of these services, what would be the most important to you? And then also, why? How would it actually help them? Why would they need to have it? Because you don't want things that people, you don't want to try and sell things that people want. You want to try selling things that people need and they say, I can't live without. And we've just gone through a huge period where a lot of people have very, very particular needs that that they wanted. If you could just be able to service it even partially, they would go ahead with you. When you're getting into those conversations too, I can't stress enough about that that need part. If they already buy a particular solution that's similar to what you're offering, whoever is supplying that solution or product to them always has the upper edge, because they already have a relationship formed. So you really have to understand, why is someone going to leave their current solution to move over to yours? And that's really the hard challenge when you're trying to enter into a market. If you're a restaurant, well, we know lots of people, go out and eat, maybe a few less right now. But if you're going to open a new one, you really have to know, why are people going to leave what they're going to go to yours? If you're a courier, same thing. If you're providing an electronic solution, if you're selling some kind of a food item that people already consume in another form, what's going to cause them to leave their current supplier to go over to you? And if your offering isn't a priority to them, you can extend that discovery conversation, just asking them and trying to find, well, what is it that actually you really need right now that you find you're not getting during COVID, if we're in this environment now. And sometimes the best ideas don't come from yourself. The best ideas come from the people that you're talking to in discovery, that will share with you what's important to them. Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide here. Any questions before we move to the next slide? No? Okay. Here we go. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, Chris. I'm trying to press a button.
Yeah.
Using technology, and I can't get technology working. There we are. Nowadays, we have a lot more tools available for us to do discovery, reaching out, or efficiency far better. So using technology doesn't solve every single thing, but technology can help you do a lot of the manual work faster. So technology that any startup needs nowadays is a CRM, so they can manage their prospects. So it's a customer relationship management tool. Not only can you keep track of people that are prospects and suppliers for you, but you can also add different features in where you can get notifications whenever they look at the material you're sending them. So you can start to gauge with technology, when is a person actually showing interest or reviewing what it is that I'm sending them. So it helps you decide, when do I need to reach out? If they haven't even looked at my offerings, maybe I don't need to reach out right now. Using tools like Facebook, LinkedIn to get your messages across are key. You can do surveys via Facebook. You can do surveys via SurveyMonkey. You can make database decisions if you're using technology. And one of the things you can do now that was a lot more difficult, before you actually had to produce a service or a product for people to see, and that was the only way you could gauge whether or not they had interest. Nowadays, we we invite a lot of companies to not create their end product or even a test model of it. You can go ahead and you can advertise on Facebook or other social medias a concept of what your, of what your service is going to be, and then have them linked to go to a landing page. And oftentimes you can find if you can't move a person from social or the way that you think you're going to communicate them over to your landing page, then there's probably not a whole lot of reason for you to go ahead and create that product or create that service, because if you're not even getting them to where you need to get them to sell to them, then you got to go back a little bit and find out maybe my offering isn't compelling enough or strong enough. So technology can help you in terms of validating an idea quicker, because you can show it as being a ready offering. They do that on Kickstarter all the time. They show a concept of something that they're making, right? But they haven't built it. They haven't spent the money in. They're trying to find out, do enough people want this? So if enough people engaged with your ads on social, and you've got enough people going to your landing page, and your landing page you could have coming soon. You could have a fill-out form that at least you could find out the information of that person should you go ahead with that idea. So it really allows you to gauge how much work do I really want to put into this. And this would have been difficult, 10 or 20 years ago. Last piece towards technology is, if you're not using video to communicate with people and communicate your messages as a startup, you're missing out, because our future is moving towards video. People want to engage, and if you look at the last 90 days, that's how we're communicating with friends, with colleagues. Anything that we're doing, we're tending to do a lot into this format. It doesn't have to be super quality, but you do need to be comfortable talking into a camera lens. Because at times you can't see your audience, but if you get comfortable talking into a camera lens, it means that you can talk to a much greater group of customers. At one time, it was how many people could I put into a room. Now it's about how many thousands or tens of thousands or 100,000s of people can I communicate with all at the same time with that effort. So if you're not using that kind of stuff, start to, and it will benefit you. The last part that I'm going to cover in terms of tools for startups is getting an easy to understand business process so that you can talk with people about your startup business idea or your new product. We don't have time to get into a business model canvas, but if you've got notes that you're taking, write down business model canvas and Google it. It's 9 building blocks. I use this with every startup company as well as larger company to try to get the key parts of what their business is about, what their offerings are, who they're trying to sell to, what's their cost structure, revenue streams, key resources, activities they need. You can take any business of any size, doesn't matter how large the company is or how small the idea is. You can put it into these 9 building blocks that allows you to be able to communicate to anyone very clearly within a few minutes about how does your business model work. You're not giving away trade secrets. What you're doing is you're showing the key concept. And if you can share that with people that you know, any advisors, they can help you define that. This is a very iterative process. When we work with startups on it, we don't actually write things onto the canvas. We put them into different colored sticky notes. So you'll have a sticky note on the different sections for the things that you know to be 100% fact. Then you'll have another cover are things that you still need to investigate a little bit more. So you have the things you know and you have the things that you don't know. And eventually, as you go through the iterative process, you get to a canvas that is full of things that you do know. And it really gives you the confidence to then move ahead with your idea because you've taken your time and you've thought through it. And I got to tell you, it's not the complicated businesses that are successful. It's often simple solutions to simple problems make the best businesses around. So there is nothing that is so complicated that you can't actually share that information with others. Then the last part I want to talk about is here in Kamloops, we're very fortunate in terms of business support that's available for startups. We've got the Kamloops Chamber of Commerce. They're always there to help. There's always really good sessions that they put on with experts. Christian, I believe you've done some there as well. Venture Kamloops has a wonderful program for people to kick into. Kamloops Innovation that I act as an entrepreneur in residence at. They have not only full mentorship programs. They also have lots of little sessions. I don't know how they're moving along in the future because, again, we used to have people come in for different lunch and learns and meetings, and now everything's going virtual, but I know they will have some things coming up. New Venture in BC, for anyone that knows people starting up ideas that may be in remote areas, New Ventures BC runs a program that's completely remote, and they do mentorship remote. Doesn't matter where you are in the province, it's very well funded, and they do have dollars available for entrepreneurs. Community Futures right here in town, they provide training. They also provide financing for a lot of businesses that are starting up as well.